English is often seen by learners as a subject filled with rules, exams, and the fear of being judged. But in reality, English is simply a language meant for communication, not a test of intelligence or perfection. When people treat English like an exam, they become overly focused on grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary accuracy. This pressure creates fear, and fear prevents natural expression. Language was created so humans could share ideas, emotions, and thoughts, not so they could be graded or criticized for every small mistake. Understanding this difference is the first step towards speaking English with ease and confidence. Many learners hesitate to speak because they believe every sentence must be perfect. They worry about grammatical errors, wrong tense usage, or incorrect pronunciation. This mindset turns conversations into stressful situations rather than opportunities to connect. However, even native English speakers make mistakes while speaking. Yet communication still happens successfully. Fluency does not mean speaking without errors. It means being able to express ideas clearly and comfortably. When learners accept that mistakes are normal, they begin to speak more freely and naturally. Treating English as a language rather than a test also encourages continuous learning. In a test, mistakes are marked wrong, but in language learning, mistakes are valuable feedback. Each error shows what needs improvement and helps the learner grow. When people stop fearing mistakes, they become more willing to try new words, form longer sentences, and participate in conversations. This active use of the language accelerates learning far more than silent memorization of rules. Moreover, communication is about understanding and being understood. If a listener understands the message, the purpose of language is achieved, even if the sentence is not grammatically perfect. Real-life communication values clarity and confidence more than accuracy. By focusing on expressing ideas rather than avoiding errors, learners develop a positive relationship with English. This shift in thinking removes fear, builds confidence, and allows the language to flow naturally, making English a tool for connection rather than a barrier of fear. Fear plays a powerful role in stopping people from speaking English confidently, even when they have the knowledge and ability to do so. Many learners understand grammar rules, know vocabulary, and can form sentences in their minds. Yet fear prevents those thoughts from becoming spoken words. This fear often comes from the worry of being judged, laughed at, or corrected in front of others. When fear takes control, the mind becomes tense, words get stuck, and confidence disappears. As a result, learners choose silence over expression. Even though they have something meaningful to say, the presence of fear creates self-doubt, which slowly weakens confidence. A person who constantly worries about making mistakes begins to believe they are not good enough to speak English. This belief becomes a mental barrier that blocks progress. Fear causes overthinking, where speakers focus more on avoiding errors than on communicating their message. This hesitation breaks the natural flow of speech and reinforces the idea that English is difficult. Over time, repeated fear-based experiences can convince learners that fluency is impossible, even though the real problem is not lack of ability, but lack of confidence. When fear is reduced, confidence begins to grow naturally. Confidence does not come from perfect grammar or a large vocabulary. It comes from the courage to speak despite imperfections. Each time a learner speaks without fear, even briefly, they gain positive experience. These small successes slowly replace negative thoughts with belief and self-trust. As confidence increases, the mind becomes more relaxed, allowing words to come more easily and conversations to feel more natural. Removing fear transforms English from a source of stress into a tool for connection. When learners focus on sharing ideas rather than avoiding mistakes, their confidence strengthens with every conversation. The more they speak, the less power fear has over them. Eventually, fear loses its control and confidence takes its place, opening the door to fluent and comfortable communication in English. Fluency in English does not come overnight. It is built gradually through consistent practice. Many learners make the mistake of waiting until they feel ready or perfect before speaking. But this approach only increases fear and hesitation. Practice is not about being flawless. It is about actively using the language in daily life. Just as athletes train every day to improve their skills, English learners need regular exposure and speaking practice to strengthen their ability to communicate effectively. The more frequently a person speaks, the more natural English becomes, and the less intimidating it feels. Daily practice helps learners internalize language patterns without consciously thinking about rules. Reading, listening, and speaking repeatedly allow the brain to recognize common phrases, sentence structures, and vocabulary automatically. Over time, forming sentences becomes easier, and fluency begins to develop. Even small, consistent efforts like speaking with friends, thinking in English, or narrating daily activities aloud can make a big difference. Regular practice also builds muscle memory for pronunciation and intonation, making speech sound more natural and confident. Practice also reduces anxiety associated with speaking English. The more a learner engages with the language, the less foreign it feels. When English is used frequently, mistakes become less threatening because the focus shifts from perfection to communication. Learners begin to see errors as a normal part of the process rather than a failure. With consistent practice, hesitation decreases, sentences flow more smoothly, and confidence grows. This process creates a positive feedback loop. The more a learner practices, the more confident they become, and the more they want to practice, further improving fluency. Another important aspect of practice is exposure to diverse contexts. Speaking only in one type of situation can limit progress. Engaging in conversations with different people, discussing various topics, and listening to different accents all help strengthen the learner's adaptability. Each interaction provides a new opportunity to apply knowledge, test skills, and learn from experience. Gradually, learners become comfortable expressing themselves in any situation without overthinking, making their communication more effective and natural. Consistent practice also builds mental resilience. Speaking English regularly teaches learners to handle mistakes, think quickly, and recover gracefully during conversations. This resilience is crucial because real-life communication rarely happens perfectly. By embracing practice as a continuous journey rather than a one-time achievement, learners develop the fluency and confidence necessary to speak English freely. Mistakes are an essential part of learning English and should be viewed as valuable opportunities rather than failures. Many learners fear making errors, believing that every mistake reflects poorly on their intelligence or abilities. This fear often prevents them from speaking at all, which slows progress and keeps them trapped in hesitation. In reality, mistakes are natural in any learning process, and each one carries a lesson that helps improve understanding and skill. When learners embrace errors as a tool for growth, they can approach English with a more positive and confident mindset. Every mistake provides insight into areas that need improvement. For example, misusing a tense or pronouncing a word incorrectly highlights specific aspects of the language that require attention. Instead of feeling embarrassed, learners can see this as constructive feedback. By reflecting on errors and correcting them, they strengthen their knowledge and avoid repeating the same mistakes. In the future, this approach turns mistakes into stepping stones toward fluency, rather than obstacles that block progress. Making mistakes also helps learners become more adaptable and creative in their communication. Language is not only about memorizing rules, but also about conveying ideas effectively. When learners experiment with words and sentence structures, even if some are incorrect, they develop problem-solving skills in real time. This experimentation builds flexibility, which is essential for fluent conversations, especially in situations where vocabulary or grammar may be limited. The courage to make errors encourages learners to try new expressions and expand their language use, which accelerates learning far more than playing it safe. Another benefit of embracing mistakes is the reduction of fear and anxiety. When learners accept that errors are normal, they no longer feel paralyzed by the idea of being judged. Confidence grows as they realize that communication can still succeed, even if sentences are imperfect. This shift in mindset allows learners to speak more freely, engage in longer conversations, and practice more consistently. Over time, repeated exposure to small mistakes becomes less intimidating, and learners begin to see progress rather than focusing on flaws. Ultimately, mistakes are the natural mechanism through which learning happens. Every error reveals what needs to be learned, and every correction strengthens ability and understanding. By treating mistakes as lessons, learners develop resilience, improve their skills, and gradually achieve the confidence necessary to speak English fluently and effectively. Consistency is one of the most important factors in achieving fluency in English. Many learners expect rapid results and become discouraged when they do not see immediate improvement. However, language learning is a gradual process and small. Regular efforts are far more effective than occasional intense study. By practicing consistently every day, learners gradually reinforce their knowledge, improve their skills, and develop the confidence needed to communicate fluently. Consistency transforms learning from a stressful task into a natural part of daily life, making English less intimidating and more approachable. Daily engagement with the language allows learners to internalize grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Over time, reading a few sentences, listening to short conversations, or speaking aloud for a few minutes each day builds familiarity with the language. These small, consistent actions accumulate, making it easier for learners to recall words, form sentences quickly, and express their ideas naturally. Just as muscles grow stronger with regular exercise, language ability strengthens through daily practice. Over time, learners notice that English begins to flow more smoothly, and they are able to communicate ideas without overthinking every word or rule. Consistency also helps reduce anxiety and fear associated with speaking English. Regular practice creates positive experiences and reinforces the idea that mistakes are part of the learning process. The more learners use English in small, repeated efforts, the less intimidating it becomes. Gradually, learners gain confidence in their ability to express themselves, and hesitation decreases. Each day of practice builds upon the previous one, creating momentum that encourages further progress. Even short periods of consistent practice are more valuable than sporadic, long sessions because they keep the language active in the learner's mind and reinforce skills steadily. Another advantage of consistent practice is the development of habits and routines. When learners make English a daily habit, it becomes a natural part of their lives rather than an occasional challenge. Listening to English podcasts, reading articles, or speaking with friends can become enjoyable routines rather than stressful obligations. This habitual engagement helps learners immerse themselves in the language environment, improving comprehension, pronunciation, and vocabulary simultaneously. By staying consistent, learners maintain steady progress, gradually overcoming obstacles that might otherwise slow down their journey toward fluency. Ultimately, consistency creates a strong foundation for language mastery. Regular, repeated practice ensures that learning is continuous and cumulative, making it easier to achieve fluency and confidence over time. Confidence in speaking English grows directly from courage, the willingness to take risks and speak. Despite fear or uncertainty, many learners hesitate because they are afraid of making mistakes, being judged, or sounding awkward. This fear can paralyze even those who have strong language knowledge. However, courage allows learners to push past these fears and take action. Each time a person speaks English, even imperfectly, they reinforce the idea that communication is possible and that mistakes are not the end of the world. Over time, these small acts of bravery gradually replace fear with self-assurance. Speaking English confidently requires the mindset that expressing ideas is more important then achieving perfection. When learners focus on sharing their thoughts and connecting with others, rather than avoiding errors, they begin to see progress. Courage gives them the strength to start conversations, ask questions, and participate in discussions, even if a sentence comes out awkward or a word is mispronounced. The act of speaking itself strengthens fluency and builds resilience. With every attempt, learners learn to recover gracefully from mistakes, improve their communication, and trust in their ability to handle real-life conversations. Courage also encourages experimentation and growth. Confident learners are willing to try new vocabulary, form longer sentences, and engage in unfamiliar topics. They understand that growth happens outside of the comfort zone. By stepping into challenging situations, they expose themselves to new learning opportunities and adapt quickly to different accents, expressions, and cultural nuances. This adaptability is crucial for effective communication and is only possible when fear does not dominate their mindset. Another important aspect of courage is persistence. Learning English is a journey filled with small successes and occasional setbacks. Learners who face challenges bravely and continue practicing develop a strong foundation of confidence. Each successful conversation reinforces their belief in themselves and their abilities. Over time, courage transforms into an automatic confidence that allows learners to speak fluently in any situation, whether formal or casual. Ultimately, confidence in English is not a gift. It is earned through repeated acts of courage. When learners embrace fear, take risks, and keep speaking, they unlock the true power of communication. The moment courage leads the way, fluency follows naturally, and every word becomes a step toward expressing oneself freely and brilliantly. Confidence in English is the key that transforms fear into freedom, turning hesitant whispers into bold, inspiring voices.